Alright, good morning. This is Natalie Muller from Cockie Press, and today I'm going to show you my writer's bullet journal. Now, if you've never heard of a bullet journal, I'm putting a link down below or in the cards to the originator of the bullet journal to explain what it is. It's a personal organizer. Now, I watched a whole load of videos about this, and I thought that's really interesting, but I'd like to adapt it to writers. So that's what I've done. This is just a notebook that I got. It's by a place called Peter Pauper Press. It's a pretty notebook. I think it's important to have something pretty for your creative practice, something that you can value. Of course, you know, a notebook like this, probably about $20–30. If you don't want to spend that, that's fine. An exercise book will work just as well, that you can buy for $2 or $3. It's not about price. I just chose this because it had been sitting in a box for goodness knows how long, and I decided, right, that's it, we are doing something with it. So, with a bullet journal, you have a plain notebook. Now this is a novel writing journal, and the novel that I'm working on currently is 1920s styled. I'm also not an artist, I'm a writer, so if you look at bullet journals across YouTube, there are a whole load of people who are really good at art, and they do beautiful things, and their handwriting is immaculate, and I'm here to say, you don't have to do that. You can if you want to, by all means, but I'm not that person. I go online, I buy some fancy fonts, I stick them on stickers. So that's what we get here. So we have 1920s font, because the novel that I'm working on at the moment is in 1920s. You can use whatever you think will support your creativity. The fonts I buy from the Hungry JPEG, if you're interested, so just that's a good place. They sell really interesting fonts. Okay, so we start out, we've got an index and we've got a key. Okay, so this is part of what makes this so different compared to just a notebook style journal. It's a lot more organized, and I could really see how I could adapt the bullet journal-y nature of things to writing. So I've color coded, so if you look here, you can see I've put little stickery tags on the spine, and where they are on the spine dictates where they are on the list. So you know that the second red on the spine is going to be plotting. The final red at the back is going to be for submission. So rather than do page numbers, I just thought, let's make it a bit visual, let's make it a bit easy so we can just flick straight to it. Okay, so we start out with ideas, reading list, research, characters, plotting, themes, competitions, mentoring, and submission. Now these two are right at the back, and I'll explain that in a bit. We also have a key, because we don't just put our idea, we put our ideas in here. We put our reading list, that's something you can fill out straight away. You can put your research in here. You put your characters, all of these things you put in these pages. So for instance, here's ideas. So if you start brainstorming what you want to write your novel about. Now I also did not feel like putting, writing page numbers on everything, so I use these little stickers, which is really neat, but it did make this end of the book sit up a lot more than I expected. So I would, if I was to do it again, I would put one bottom, one top. So I'd put 3 and then the odds at the bottom and the evens at the top, and that would probably solve that problem. So anyway, you can use the ideas for brainstorming. Just a couple of pages set up. Then we've got our reading list, so any novels that you're reading as you're writing your book, any things that you're reading that you want to keep a hold of, that you want to know, oh yeah, there was that book, and maybe why you want that book, in there can go in here. So I've got a couple of pages because you really do spend a lot of time reading when you're writing a novel. Here we have research. Okay, you're going to use a lot of research. There's a lot of pages for characters. We've got primary characters, so they're all your main characters. Then we have, and I gave this quite a few pages because you'll need that, secondary characters. Okay, you don't want to forget about them. This will help you give your characters continuity. Now, these are not pages that you fill out immediately. Okay, I'll explain this in a bit. So you've got your secondary characters. Then you've got plotting, plot devices. Okay, so all your plotting, this can be filled out however you want. Bullet pointing, paging, you know, whatever it is that you happen to want to do with plotting. So again, that's another one that I dedicated a lot of pages to. Themes. Themes is something that you're not going to fill out immediately because it's impossible, or virtually impossible, to come up with themes and then write a book. Themes emerge out of writing. So this is actually one of the things that you fill out after you've done your first draft. Okay, possible things that you would put in there. Then we have competitions that you might want to enter. It's always a good idea to put them somewhere. And at the back, because these things come after you've done your first draft, we have mentoring. It's always a good idea to get a mentoring session to help clarify your practice, help clarify your ideas, maybe to help you bring out some of those themes from earlier on that you're might be struggling to identify. And then right at the back, we have submissions, because you are going to have to submit your book to more than one place, generally. And it's a good idea to put who you submitted to, when you submitted to them, and what their response was, so that you know, so that you don't end up submitting the same thing to someone multiple times. Anyway, back to the front. And here we have our key. So you put a little... So when you're using the general part of the journal, which makes up the bulk of this, when you're writing your journal entries from here on in, as you're writing your entry, don't worry about, is it character, is it plot, is it theme? Don't worry about that. You write your entry, then you go, okay, that bit, I need to research that. You put that there, and then you bring it over to the research page, and you put it in the research page. Same with character. Oh, that's a piece of character information. You put a circle, an empty circle next to it, and then you bring it over to the character page. Plotting, that's a plot point. Solid circle, bring it over to the plotting page. Possible theme, a diagonal line, you bring it over to the themes page. Bring to a mentoring session, put it in the mentoring page, or just a strike through for deleted. The reason you do this is because a journal is great so long as you can find the stuff in it, and you don't want to have to read every single entry to find that one little thing. If you use these pages, bringing things back and listing them all together, what you end up with is a much more organized and concise way of arranging your information, so when you need to do your second draft, so that character's hair doesn't change colour halfway through the book, all sorts of things like that, you've got it and you know where to find it. So thank you for watching my video. This is the bullet journal for writers from Black Cockie Press. We have lots and lots of great products and services to help writers, so I'd love you to come over to the website and check us out. As it is, bye bye, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.